Okay, so we're here with Ben Garrett and his new artist studio. So Ben, what's the name of your gallery space here?
Actually, it has no name.
Actually, that's a great name.
Art1-US.
Art1-US. Okay, yeah. Okay, and you're also an architect, I understand.
Yes, I am.
So you're like Batman. You have a secret identity.
I have a few of them. Yes.
That's right. Okay. Oh, not secret anymore. But so tell us about some of your pieces here.
I started painting about a year ago. And,
wow. Jesus, you just 1 year?
Yes. Well, a little over.
Okay.
But I started painting with things I just had around the house. These larger, relatively square panels were panels that I had cut out, plywood to put up over windows in the event of a hurricane. And they were nicely cut, so I just pulled them down and started painting on them instead.
So the frames are hurricane panel?
No, not the frames, the wood itself.
The wood itself. Okay, that was wood
For instance, this one went over a French door.
Gotcha.
And so there had been a doorknob that would have come through there, so I had to think of some way to integrate that.
Okay, I get it. It's like, why waste the wood? You've got the wood.
Yeah, and I was just wanting to use whatever I had around the house. A lot of people ask about the frames. The frames
are really cool.
The frames are really structural because all these plywood panels are all warped, as plywood typically is. So these bands wrap it around and pull them into tension and relative truth.
Right.
So they're structural in that.
So again, you're thinking like an architect in terms of you don't think of the frame as something extraneous to the artwork. It's one structural piece.
Well, there's a structural issue, but I have a philosophic issue.
You're pulling it together with the. I'm sorry, you talk.
Basically, they're pulling them true, but I do have a philosophic issue with frames and paintings. And I do not think that they're one and the same.
Right.
And so I wanted to also express that by pushing the painting back and
so there's a clear demarcation between the frame and the
but you still need an aperture to look at a painting
right. And it's kind of like an arbitrary line that says here's where the painting stops and here's where the world begins.
Yeah.
And that's just like clearly that ain't the painting. It's like a big metal thing, which is
exactly, yeah.
Right.
And I started mostly with abstracts. The early ones are abstracts. This I painted during the Deepwater Horizon disaster. And it's basically supposed to be underwater. And
Right.
And the chaos.
So did you paint with oils?
We'll see. I use house paint and tar.
Okay.
So there is the tar.
So there is the tar.
Yeah, there's typically tar in all of these. And these are earlier ones. This is my first painting.
Wow.
And I just sort of moved sometimes with what I was reading. You've read a lot of quantum physics and stuff.
Yeah.
And this came after pondering.
Well, it reminds me of Escher in some ways.
Quantum physics in some ways.
Like levels within levels within levels.
Yeah. And this was a little charrette for July 4th last year. That's right about when I started painting, was around July of last year.
Okay.
And then I just started getting hooked more on people for instance, and started using older photographs.
Right, and I've noticed that on your blog that these things have an origin in old photographs, but you manipulate them so thoroughly.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Haitian art in some ways. Is that just a happy accident, or
whatever it must be an accident because
you're not Haitian, sorry.
I'm not Haitian. Or this is, for instance, my wife and her siblings whenever they were young.
Right.
You see the photographs up there. And this I just finished. This is my father. And,
that's great.
And my brother from that particular photograph when they were all dressed up for Sunday church.
And that's you.
And that's me from this photograph. And this is me and a couple of friends. I can't recall who they were, and we were basically having a little celebration. I'd won some sort of ribbon.
So they're literally forgotten friends because you can't recall who they are.
And I won some sort of ribbon. I used to show rabbits and things.
Right.
And I just, the idea that, art art in general is sort of pulling something out of your head.
Right, right.
So I'm sort of pulling these little eggs out of my head and feeding them to my friends.
There you go, man.
Sort of thing.
You're nourishing them.
or this is my brother and his dog.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So do you commissions?
Started with some. I actually got my first commission recently, so that's sort of what I took piece off of over there. I got a first commission that I'm about to start.
Who's that in the corner there?
Well, that's for my wife.
That's what I thought. I just want to make sure.
And this is for my wife.
Very dramatic painting. And this is your wife as well.
My wife as well. That's the photographic painting.
That's great. Refresh my ruined memory. What is her name again?
Carol Twitchell.
That's great.
She's a granddaughter of Ralph.
I was going to ask if she's related to Ralph Twitchell then. Wow.
Yeah. And this was from something of her as well. And that's my little mark into some softcore sort of.
What did you say?
Softcore sort of.
Oh, okay.
Sort of illusions there. But let's talk about pottle scars, which is basically like a little scar whenever people blow glass and they break it off, which is sort of like a belly button. So I sort of think of we all have a pottle.
Right, we all have a pottle scar, except for Adam.
And so then this sort of starts there, what would be a belly button, and works down into various other things. And this, I'm going to by the walk, I'm going to have a large display that comes off of my interregnum site.
Now, is this a digital? Does that actually exist in reality, or is that?
No, these are renderings.
It's so well done, you would never think that.
Of a prototype that it's a prototype that I have for hot, humid environments for this particular residence that will essentially do more for you as a house. It'll provide.
Well, I'm going to stop. Hold on a minute. I'm going to stop this video.